Hey everybody, it's Zaid here with another live stream, working on fulfilling the commitment I made to getting on at least 10 times in the next 30 days. As you can see on my little piece of paper, I've already written that I'm going to talk about UX and UX design as a career shift that I made. Um, about 10 years ago, very intentionally. Um, and I want to, just like I did last night, I want to mention some of the principles and concepts that I've learned that I did unconsciously and that I did now. Now I'm doing consciously, like going online, going on um, on this live stream right now, not really knowing what exactly to do, but trusting myself enough that there's value that I have to impart to you. So I got my I got some water. I got some grapefruit going on in the diffuser. I got some good scent going. I got my lighting right. Hopefully, I have StreamYard. This is the app I'm using to do this live stream. StreamYard's working on, says there's a check mark on Facebook, check mark on LinkedIn, and a check mark on YouTube. All right. So back to the mind map that we were looking at last night. Um, I'm starting with these two career shifts that I did personally, in hopes that you can steal my process and you can use it to create other things. In the other sessions we do, I'm going to go into all these other things about how you can create things like the next CrossFit. How do you start from nothing, from zero, even if you don't have an idea, right? But you have some notion, some intuition in your mind that you are the one who's going to create the next fitness craze, like Strong First or CrossFit or Keto or something, right? How do you create your own Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym with no money, no capital, right? Where do you start? And so I brought this guitar that I do not know how to play, so that so that I can practice, and so that you can practice observing me, not knowing what I'm doing, because there's a certain point we were children and we were totally fine doing this and pretending, right? But part of doing that, being okay with not knowing, is how you become to know, because you can't learn how to play the guitar if you don't pick it up and start playing with it and then figure something out, and then over time you learn things. I obviously can't obviously play the guitar, but I can learn to play the guitar. My level of confidence and my ability to learn to play the guitar is high. Why? Because I can be in front of you, and I don't know how many people are ever going to watch this over the next 5 years, but I can not know anything, and that sounds terrible. Yeah, it sounds terrible. But there's a time when we were children when we were okay with that. And then somewhere along the line, we got it in our heads. We picked up judgment. Somebody told us, you can't do that. You have to learn how to play. You have to take lessons. Then you can play in front of people. Well, when you were 4 years old, when we had the most joy in our lives, hopefully, um, we pretended all kinds of things, and it was just fine. And one thing I've realized is that what a lot of people who are really seeking personal growth, what they're really seeking is the state of being like a 4-year-old again. It's something you've already done. You just forgot how to do it, right? What my therapist told me once, that um, really the thing that's wrong with you is that you believe that there's something wrong with you. What's actually wrong with you is you think there's something wrong with you, right? With how you talk and how you move and how you think about the world and how you reason, how you do math and how you read and how you learn things, right? And there's a right way. You're supposed to do this. You should do this. You have to do this, or else. Or else what? Or else what? And the child learns that when they challenge that or else, that sometimes if we aren't in very nurturing families, there's a withdrawal of or a feeling of withdrawal of love and safety and security. Well, everybody wants to feel safe and secure and feel loved, because if you don't, you'll die. If you're a child, you'll definitely die, right? But the human being always has that impulse. And so if we get a whiff of an idea that we're going to lose out on love and regard and safety and security because we're doing this on live stream, well, we have a problem. So what we have to do is take those flabby muscles, those pretending muscles, these experimenting and playing muscles, and we need to exercise them. And that's what I'm doing right now, right? I'm not coming to you with a beautiful deck. I'm not coming to you with a beautiful video. I'm not in a studio. I'm in my garage, right? I had some posters made. I had my daughter make them with paint pens. Very easy, right? Because I'm just pretending. Yeah, one day I'll have the money to make actual awesome posters and banners, but not now, maybe next month, right? But that doesn't stop me from pretending, from mocking it up. In UX terms and interaction design terms, we call that prototyping. So let's go ahead and talk about my career shift into design. So I'll call this how I created myself as a UX designer or an interaction designer, right? So here we are. Let's take UX and we're gonna hit bold. Okay. Before I begin, I want to share with you a little diagram. This is a rough draft of a diagram I made to illustrate a concept and what I want to call the concept. So let's make a new node and we're going to call it how I created myself as an interaction UX designer. Okay. And please don't get hung up on the role. The role is not important. What's important is what I did. Take what I did, still the process, still the thinking process, still the principles and the concept that I'm going to talk about. All right, how I created myself as UX designer. Right. So, just like we did with graphic design, we have concepts. Boom. Concepts. First concept is connected to this diagram. And I haven't really worded this out yet, so give me a couple seconds to really think about this. Okay. When you commit to one aspect of a goal, all the other elements, instead of aspect, let's say element, well, all the other elements arrive from the ether. And this happened a lot to me in the 6 months that I made this career jump, and it's a pretty drastic career jump because I'm moving from print to tech. Okay, moving from designing for print to moving to every element on here being a moving target, moving pieces with business logic behind it. Right. When you commit to one element of a goal, all of the other elements arrive from the ether. And we said the ether is just you can think of it however you want. There are people who think of it in terms of the idea that we have energy and that we put out frequency and there's vibrations. You don't have to think that way. You can just think in terms of modern psychology, in that when you work on something, what you focus on attenuates a little bit, and you can see things, you can notice things in your space when you do searches, when you talk to people, when you go to the store. You can your focus is able to notice and pick up things that before you were not. Okay, you don't have to. You can think about it however you want. Okay. The other word for this is planned happenstance, and this is in the realm of um, career development. So this term planned happenstance basically means the same thing. Is that when the the work you do towards a goal leads to opportunities that are not directly connected to your work. Okay. I'm going to explain what's going on now. All right. So how should I start? Let's start. I'm doing graphic design, and I have an intuition that I should become more technical. Okay. Just like with the graphic design example, there's things that I'm doing. Okay. So one of the things I'm doing is making up work. This is our concept that everything is made up, right? Everything is made up. So I'm in a graphic design role, but I'm looking for opportunities to do some what I think are UX work. So looking for websites and apps to build, right? That are connected to my work, right? Which is communications and marketing. So you start with the concept. Start where you are and branch out to uh, the next level out, next degree outward, right? All right. So for example, let's say someone is an accountant. Let's say someone wants to transition from being an accountant, because I know some of you may say, well, Zaid, you already were a designer, so it's a kind of logical step. This is the time when Twitter and Facebook are rising in prominence, and Web 2.0 is taking the internet by storm. You did what thousands of other people did. You made a logical step. You made a logical transition, right? To stay competitive. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's start from an accountant. Let's start from an area that is not necessarily in tech. All right. So an accountant uses software for taxes, uses software maybe to do math, uses software to track expenses, to create documents, right? So right there, we've already come up with the accountant works with taxes, with busyness, expenses, and this is for me not being an accountant, right? Again, I'm just making this up. If you're an accountant out there, you can come on and tell me what accountants actually do work on. Okay. At some point, you're doing some math. What else would an accountant be working on? Managing accounts, right? Managing clients, managing client accounts. Okay, right. So even if all of this is one application, you as an accountant obviously has problems with the applications that you use, or you do some process that's on paper. So you have paper processes that should be applications or websites, right? And from there, you can come up with ideas from that, right? It's just like you think of if you think of an app for like gym booking, those are created by gym people. I'm drawing a blank. It's called Mindbody. Yeah. So Mindbody was created by people who needed that tool, and it became a company, right? So oftentimes solutions come from subject matter experts. They don't have to be technical. There's millions of people who can help you build something. You don't have to be technical. All what you have to do is be good at identifying problems, right? So talk about painstorming. So painstorming. So an accountant can, by themselves, take a piece of paper, take some grid paper like this, and start drawing better software. Okay, right then, just like how I picked up the guitar, you're doing UX design, or right then. You don't say, oh well, he didn't go do a college program or work at eBay or work at Microsoft. No. At that point, when you identify a problem and think about a solution and sketch them out and try them, that's it. You've gone from 0 to 1 instantly. And that works with everything. That works with everything. You're going to see when I go to creating a band, creating a movie, writing a book, getting a book, publishing a book, having it in the Amazon store, having it available on Kindle, organizing a concert, organizing a wellness retreat, transitioning into a painting career. There's principles and concepts that you can adopt that I'm going to teach you over this next 30 days, goal being 10 of these sessions, right? And let's see, I'm at minute 18. All right. So let's see what we can do with this accounting example, and then I'll go back to my example. Right. Now, I see taxes, business expenses, math, managing client accounts, right? But right there, 4 examples, and some paper process that should be an application, paper processes. So right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects. 5 projects of sketching that you've sketched out on paper. You scan those and you put them into a PDF or a PowerPoint deck. That's your portfolio. That's version 1 of your portfolio. And that accountant who wants to make that career switch takes that paper sketches into a portfolio. And again, we don't create limits and constraints. We don't say, oh, it has to be a website. Okay. If a manager needs your work to be on a website and there's some reason why it can't be on a PDF, Mm, I would really think twice about joining that group. Okay, paper sketches into a portfolio. Look at that, and you could do that in a week. The accountant can just at his look at his space. What are all the things I use as my job as an accountant? What would I love to have? It would be really cool if, yeah, that's fine. But what if we could do X? This could really be easier and faster if we did X. If I just fed it some things and an AI did that for me. Fine. Even with an AI, how does that work? Sketch it out. Sketch it out. Okay. You have Sharpie and paper. Okay. Those are the main weapons of the designer. Pen and paper and whiteboards, right? It's not about technology. Okay. So paper sketches into our portfolio, and from there you can go interview. The point is, what all you have to know is show that you know how to think. Every company has their own process and their own philosophy about design. Therefore, you don't have to know anything specific to that company's process, because every company has a different philosophy about what is it, and what you as a designer are supposed to be doing. But the common denominator is that you are somebody who looks for problems, who identifies problems. Seth Godin has this great presentation called "This Is Broken," right? This is broken. You know what? I should actually go and find that. Seth Godin, "This Is Broken," because then if I pass on uh, this mind map to you, I want you to have that link, because he's really getting into the essence of design. You are solving problems and you're creating new possibilities. Well, what if we could do it like this? That's your actual job. Okay. Interview. Let's talk about Seth Godin. Here's Seth Godin. This is broken. All right. So at that point, you can interview. And if you talk about your work with a certain level of passion and care and love, that you really care that about this tax software, about saving accountants. Hey, this could save accountants 500 hours a year, right? What could you do with 500 more hours a year, right? That's amazing if you come up with the right solution. So when you talk to somebody and you present, it's like I said with graphic design, it's the energy. It's the level of energy. I think I talked about it here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, maybe I haven't talked about it. Okay, let's talk about it now. Great. Okay. People hire energy. People don't hire skill sets. Okay. People don't hire, I know how to use X software, because software changes every year. What people use to do their job changes and updates every year. So it's not as important to go and learn how to use a certain application. What's important is you come up with your bag of tricks in solving problems and creating possibilities. That's really important, okay? So we have our interview, and we said people hire energy. So what is important? It's energy and passion. Because energy and passion, with that, you can pick up the guitar, pick up the design skills, and you can do this. And then one day you'll actually know how to play play the guitar. It'll be cool if I could actually play the guitar, because then I can pretend I don't. That could like like magically over like the course of a minute start playing the guitar properly. But maybe for a future session. Okay, so let's talk about my example, or my case in particular. So I came from graphic design, right? And so obviously I am looking at solutions in my field of practice. So marketing, oh, marketing and communications. And another thing that I said when I was in graphic design, when I was trying to move into graphic design, I was backwards engineering what I see. Backwards engineering what I see. So I'm looking at the current things that I'm using right now, looking at it in a different light. So I'm looking at the graphic design. I'm looking at Adobe InDesign. I'm looking at Adobe Photoshop, and I'm paying more attention to, oh, that's why that's organized that way. So deconstruct what was already in front of you, right? So deconstruct already in front of you. All right. And I'm creating work for myself. I'm inventing projects. I'm inventing solutions. I remember I did a very simple uh, application that actually I paid somebody to build out of my own money, right? I don't say, oh well, I have to get my company to be able to fund this. No, you use your own money. How serious are you? You use your own money to buy books. You use your own money to pay for education, for magazines, all the stuff that you do to create the energy and the passion and the being. Actually, I should say being. People hire who you are being. Okay? You are being, not your resume, not your list of, I know how to use X application, I know how to use Excel. Okay, everybody knows how to use Excel. I know how to use Outlook. Yeah, so what? Right? So inventing solutions and getting them put together, getting them built, reaching out to peripheral peripheral disciplines. All right. That are already in front of you. So I remember one thing I did was I started talking more to a somebody who was learning software development. Well, hey, that's tech too. You're interested in tech? I am too. Let's start talking. Well, I'm interested in designing. You're interested in building stuff? Hey, can you help me with this? Can we sit down and look at this together? Right? And I'm still very close friends with that person today. We still chat about things today. All right. So you start creating relationships. You start creating relationships. And you know what happens with relationships. Things come to you. So somebody is hiring. Do do you know somebody? Oh yeah, I do. This guy I used to talk to when I was working in software development, and he was interested in design. Here, let me see what he's working on right now. Okay. This is part of planned happenstance. Okay. Planned happenstance. Work you do towards a goal leads to opportunities that are not directly connected to your work. things start coming in from the ether. So this diagram that I made right here is that if you have this clear vision and this dashed line is just you working towards that in any way you can, everything else starts coming in different directions from the ether, from outside, that don't seem like they're necessarily connected to your efforts, but they are. And remember, I said in the beginning, it doesn't really matter how we think about it. You could say it's God, you could say it's the ether, you could say it's just from intuition and vibration and energy. At this point, we're not concerned with that because we're not judging each other's beliefs at this point. I'm trying to get you to take some action and upgrade who you are being. If you can upgrade who you are being, you can create everything, right? Be you, get you. If you want something else, you be the type of person that achieves that thing. You 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 assume that character, kind of like uh, Heath Ledger um, took the role of Joker in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and Jack Nicholson warned him about that role because Joker is insane, right? And so you don't want to. You have to be careful about what you act your way into all day, right? So part of this is a little bit of acting. We're acting ourselves into being a UX person. All right. So let's talk about UX. All right. I'm going to move some things around. So I feel like I'm cluttering and I'm confusing you guys a little bit. All right. So I was coming from graphic design, inventing solutions, tiny applications, but I got them built. Right. You have to be willing to invest your time and energy, just like how I'm doing. It's almost 2 a.m. here in Oregon, um, and part of what I'm doing is I'm creating myself as somebody who carves out time, no matter what, to to deliver on something that I committed to. What I do tells me something about who I am, right? So what I do tells me about who I am. Want to be someone new? Start taking some new actions. Okay, there you go. What I do tells me, gives me data, gives me evidence about who I am, right? And so the more I sit down in this chair in front of you and turn on, begin, go live, or start broadcast in this application I'm using, I'm telling myself, I am somebody who has something valuable, right? It doesn't matter if that's true or not because I act my way into it. So eventually it will be true. It may not even be true right now. Everything I may be saying may be completely useless, complete garbage. It doesn't really matter at this point because it's like my terrible guitar playing. It's the same exact thing, right? When I pick up the guitar the thousandth time, yeah, I'll know how to play it. But I have to get to one. You have to get from 0 to 1. You have to get to 1. You have to get to 1 where you may look silly, where you may look de- de- delusional. People have told me that. People have told me that I'm delusional about some of the things that I wanted to create in my life, and I made them happen. Okay. What this does is this helps you when you can be somebody new, when you know that you have the power to be uh, somebody new, you don't have to rely on other people's opinions anymore because everybody in your life can tell you man, you're dreaming. People can tell you that you're a loser. People can tell you that you're nothing. People can tell you that you're stupid. People can tell you that you're incapable. People can tell you that you're disabled. I've had people tell me that I'm disabled, unfortunately, people very close to me, right? So, um, and this is not a judgment on disabled people, but the more you take action to tell you about who you are, you make like this bubble field, make like this, again, we talk about the reality distortion field that we build around ourselves, right? We keep pushing people out. You can say that, but I'm just gonna go off and do my thing now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for trying to give me advice and telling me that I'm wasting my time. Thank you for that. Right. Because when you do that, it tells me about who I am, that I can resist, that I'm more resilient and more powerful than I think I am. Right. And I can put up this shield that's blocking all of these judgments. Because if I let them all in, then it brings my energy down. Right. So graphic design, reaching out to people. Now, to bump up the reaching out to people, reaching out to strangers. So there's one point where I'm literally googling like UX designer Los Angeles. All right. And I actually met people who invited me to meetups. I met people who actually meet with me, have coffee with me, right? And from that work, I actually, um, I actually met a consultant, um, hired me for grunt work. The good thing about grunt work is that you don't have to tell anybody that you were hired uh, by a consultant. You can just say, I did this work for X. So one of my first projects was for like a major company, was for Red Bull. So now, and nobody has to know that I got paid peanuts for that. Nobody has to know that I didn't get, maybe you'll do work for free and not get paid at all. And that's okay too. Nobody has to know that. You don't have to volunteer any of that information to people. All people need to know is that you're working. You're working on it, right? So I did work for Red Bull and a couple other small companies, right? And from there, I developed a portfolio. So my portfolio was graphic design, right? Then slowly replaced design with UX work over time. But I didn't wait until I was done to start interviewing. I started interviewing, applying, and interviewing immediately. Immediately. Right. Changed my LinkedIn to say that I am a UX designer, right? Now, something happens when you apply to jobs that you don't really have a great portfolio and experience yet, right? So what happens is that you get mad, right? So there was a point where I just got really angry. And when I got really angry, what popped into my head was something that Seth Godin said about poking the box. So Seth Godin, and if you haven't read Poke the Box, honestly, you should stop. you should stop watching this and go and read Poke the Box and then come back and watch this, right? Poke the Box, right? So Poke the Box means um, challenging the constraints that you have. So my version of poking the box was, I should form a meetup group. I should form my own meetup group. So just go to poke the box. That came the thought to go on Meetup. I created a meetup group. And what I did was I used, because back here, use what you have to paint the vision and stay committed. Everything else comes with it, right? So using copywriting skills. So I know how to write fun descriptions for meetings, and I have teaching skills. So what I did was I created like almost like a workshop where instead of people sitting and doing presentations, I said, well, what would I like to have? What would have what would I love to have had a year ago? And so what I envisioned was monthly uh, collaborations sessions. And I did made up projects. I used what I had. I even said that. I said, hey, I've done all these workshops, so I have these workbooks. I'll just take examples from these workbooks and modify them, and we'll just do them. And what I did was I brought a bunch of Sharpies, I brought some snacks. I partnered with a co-working space. So another thing is the co-working space came for free. Again, back to this example. When you start working on your thing, things come through the ether, right? So partnerships. I partnered with a co-working space who was trying to promote their co-working space, and their deal was, hey, you can have meetings here on Saturdays as long as we get to present, take 5 minutes before your meeting and talk about our meetup. That's a perfect deal. So what I did there was finding the energy. That's another principle we have here, is find the energy. Find the energy. Energy can mean problems, passion, desires, needs, wants, right? So the energy that I found there was, hey, we need to promote our co-working space in downtown LA. I said, great, you can put out flyers, you can show up you can participate in the actual meetings, you can talk to people, as long as I get in there for free, right? So a new co-working space that wants to promote their space. They're trying to get clients. So if they get people coming into the space and saying, this is nice, I might like to work here, that was worth it for them to give me that free space. So I created that free space from reaching out and talking to people and saying, and putting out my vision. So put your vision out there, right? Put your vision out there. Honestly. And you tell them, this is what I'm building. Here's a link to my meetup page. This is what I'm doing. And another thing, you take from everything else in your life, right? Draw from everything else in your life. So, because everything is connected, right? So I want to explain to you what that means or what that meant in my case. Let me make this a little bigger for you. Okay. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee launched his martial arts practice, teaching people he was not supposed to teach. He was not supposed to be teaching non-Chinese. So he taught people like Dan Inosanto, who was uh, Filipino. He taught Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? And so what he did was, that's how it was. Freeing, freeing kung fu from constraints. So I modeled my meetup group after Bruce Lee. So what I did was I'm freeing UX education from constraints. What I did was I said, even though I'm not qualified to teach, um, we're just going to do what I already know how to do, which is sketching and drawing, right? And I'm just going to create the fun space and the environment. That's what I can do. So that's what I can do, and I let everything else flow in. Everything else flow in, and it was a hit. People really liked it. It was really enjoyable. People took. It was on Saturday morning. People would show up, would drive half an hour to downtown LA from Orange County. That's like a half-hour drive on the weekend to come and work with me and my group for 2 hours. People joined it. And what was amazing is that when you put your stuff out there sincerely and openly and you're just honest, because I was honest about like what I was doing, people began joining it the same day. I was actually shocked that I would come back and check my email and I said, oh my God, 10 people have joined my meetup group already, right? 10 people have already RSVP'd, right? And this was after getting a rejection after rejection from interviews. So that felt good. That felt good, right? So another thing we could say is we want to make sure that we feel good. Do what fun, right? Fun, fulfillment. So to me, I considered myself doing like a service to people. I was taking something that cost thousands of dollars to get into these workshops because I had done a couple workshops and I had my employer pay for them. And after I was no longer working in graphic design, hey, I still have all these workbooks, right? And most of you can't afford to go to these workshops, but I've gone for you and I'll just show you what's in there. You come to my meetup and we'll actually do it, right? So, in doing that, my attitude with interviewing changed. My level of confidence in who I was being. I was a UX person. And then my ability to present ideas because I was doing it in the meetup group. So I was presenting, getting up in front of people, talking in the meetup group. That translated to getting up and talking to people in a more confident way in the interviews. You see how that works? See how that works? And I eventually got hired, but it was not, I'll say, linearly connected to the meetup group. But in terms of the ether, I was working on who I'm being. What I do tells me about who I am. So the fact that I get in front of a group and I set the agenda. This is what we're going to work on this week, and I'm setting the time. In 10 minutes, we're going to put everything up on the wall. We're going to walk around and we're going to talk about it, right? That translates into my ability to run a collaboration session at work. And when I got hired, it was because in the interview, I flew to the client office in Portland, and I did that same thing. I got up on the whiteboard and I thought things through live in front of people because I practice being live in front of people. And so it was that demonstration that got me hired. This works with everything. And this is the last, I'm going to take a break from talking about careers and jobs for a while because I really want to get into launching businesses because a lot of us, um, if you're like me, your ultimate goal is to run your own business. Like me, I am telling myself about who I am in doing this because I want to get paid to do this live with people in person, coming to my studio and building these things out and beyond, right? I was actually talking with one of my friends today, Dale. He wants to build a restaurant. You know what? The next time I get on, we're gonna do let's see, restaurant. Where's it at? I had it somewhere in here. I had a restaurant somewhere. All right, cool. So he wants to build a restaurant, and you can do that, but you have to start applying these principles, and you have to work on who you are being. It's not a matter of skills. It's not a matter of money and funding. It's not a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. So, an essential skill that I'm imparting to you is how to be more resourceful. That's the real process. The process is becoming more resourceful, and trusting that you are enough and you are worthy and that everything will come to you, right? Creating this reality distortion bubble when friends and family tell you, oh, that's not possible. You can't do that. You have to go 4 years and go to do this program and go to this college and do this. And, you know, that's only for something that people who have money can do. All these judgments that people have inherited, right, from friends and family, right? Often the people who are most close to us, right? All right, let's see. So I got hired from that, and I'll say it was about 6 months. 6 months from starting interviewing and creating the meetup group from actually getting hired. 6 months. All right, let me write through that. 6 months. This took 6 months. What else to say about getting hired? Also, we are looking for the energy as well. So, in looking for the energy, um, what is the energy on the other side, on the hiring side? On the hiring side, budget is it would be great if for my company I could hire a user experience designer, but I can only afford a junior designer. Let me go find a junior designer um, who will be doing senior level work, and that's what I was doing. I was I was hired to do like senior level work, and having no idea what that meant and what I was doing. So back to the guitar thing, you have to to be willing to be doing this. And I think Vox a Day, he's a blogger. He says what's really useful is the ability to not know what you're doing in front of people and to maybe get laughed at and to maybe get laughed at. Okay. And there were times when I got laughed at. like on the job. There are times when, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, how the process works, how Scrum works, how Agile works, how all of these things about how people actually work on a project, building an application in a in in a team. I didn't know how user stories worked. I didn't know how points worked. I didn't know how burn down charts. I know concept of project management within the technology sphere, right? So yeah, I got literally laughed at sometimes. And what I do tells me about who I am, right? And who I was being, who I am, is I'm resilient. I take a beating and keep coming back. Take a beating. Get things wrong. Willing to dive into something uh, and not know what I'm doing. What I do tells me or informs me, creates evidence for who I am. So decide who you want to be, and then go do some things to create little micro deposits of evidence in your mind. Wait a minute, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. Hey, I'm all right. I'm all right. Okay. So that is transitioning into UX. If anybody wants to get on, go ahead and add a comment. I'm going to check comments. I see no comments. If anybody wants to book a call with me, I put my Calendly, www.calendly.com/Zaid Hisham, and you can book a call with me. Okay. And tell me from this list and beyond, what is it that you want to create? Restaurant. Next time, we're going to do a restaurant. Okay. I've had two different people come to me with ideas for restaurants. When you have a compelling vision, that resonates with people because there's so few people in the world who take that step. It's accessible, it's open to everybody. Anybody can create a compelling vision if if you can be honest with yourself and with others, and if you can be willing to take a beating, be willing to go through 100 interviews. I had dozens of interviews. So most people get discouraged, but when you do things that tell you about who you are, you get a belief upgrade. You get a belief upgrade because you have all this evidence now. Well, this happened, this good thing happened, this good thing happened, this good thing happened. I think I'm going to make it eventually. It's just a matter of I have to keep trying. And that's one of the things that men are really suffering from that I want to contribute to. And this is why I'm here on the live stream. It's 2:11 a.m. talking to you right now. Is if I communicate, if I convey anything to you, it's don't give up. It's don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams to do something. Don't give up on your goals. Don't give up. Because that not giving up tells you something about who you are, that all things are possible. So let's say hypothetically, you never reach your goal. You want to, let's say you do want to open up a restaurant. The person who keeps trying and who works on it will be more fulfilled and happier than a person who doesn't even try. Because person A is currently is constantly making little micro deposits, telling themselves about who they are, about how capable and worthy they are to have this dream of a restaurant. and to go off and tell people about it, make a little business card, say, look, I'm launching a restaurant. Where is it? It's nowhere. It's just an idea right now, right? But that little business card is going to hit somebody else who is a chef or who's training to be a chef. They says, man, I need to get in on something. I can partner with this guy. I have some ideas. I have some ideas. So the person who wants to launch a restaurant connects through the ether, business card, talking about it all the time, talking to friends and family. Those friends and family, ideas travel. I know somebody who's looking to build a restaurant. He wants to do this kind of restaurant. And that chef says, that's what I want to do. And hey, I already got the funding. I just need somebody to handle everything else, right? Stone soup. Two people together can attract three. Three people together attracts four. Four people together attracts more people. Once you start working on something, people say, hey, people are attracted to energy. That's another concept, is that find the energy. People are attracted to energy and passion. That's it. Energy is problems, passions, desires, needs, and wants. People are. I'm gonna go ahead and end on this. People are attracted to energy. I'm gonna take this down. Take this down. Hide. All right, done. People are attracted to energy. So do the things that give you energy. I think later this week we are going to do that restaurant, and I want to spend a whole hour on it because big things get built. This is how big things get built. It starts with vision and energy, and talking to people the same way I'm talking to you right now. Because you can look in my eyes and you can tell that I'm serious about helping you. I'm dead serious. I'm deadly serious. All right? Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast. And again, my name is Zaid. And if you want to book a call with me and talk to me about some of these ideas, www.calendly.com/ZaidHisham. I've been talking for an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. And I'll see you guys later this week. Let's build a restaurant together. Take care. Bye.